Deputy Smith.
Thank you, Minister. Having listened to your last response, I'll probably be asking you to meet a load of more women for a different reason. And you're probably round off answering questions about the childcare schemes, the various funding of childcare. But I want to ask you one specific about the after-school childcare scheme. That was introduced after the previous Minister for Social Protection, Joan Burton, got stuck into the one-family payment and cut it to ribbons over a period of time on the premise that this would put lone parents back to work and take them out of the social welfare trap, so-called. But she did so on the basis of the provision of an excellent Scandinavian-style childcare, which is in Scandinavia, I'm afraid. Could you comment on this scheme and the progress of it and what's happening?
Smith, I appreciate the question. As of July 18, 2016, there were 739 children availing of the after-school childcare program. That equates to 318 after-school places. Of the 450 parents who are registered for the scheme this year, 29 have used their 52-week maximum allowance. For parents who have used their maximum allowance, the Community Childcare Subvention Program and the Community Childcare Subvention Program, private, may be an option. Both of these provide funding to childcare services to enable them to provide quality childcare, including after-school care, at reduced rates to low-income working parents. Parents qualify as low-income or coming with the context of disadvantage on the basis of means-tested entitlements. Further details of these programs are available through the City and County Childcare Committees. The after-school childcare program has a budget of $1.5 million for the 2015-2016 academic year and has capacity to provide 340 whole-time equivalent after-school places annually. Each eligible parent is, as you have identified in your question, given a maximum allowance of 52 weeks of this scheme, which does not have to be used, though, consecutively, but when it is exhausted, the parent's eligibility ceases. These childcare places are subject to availability and are allocated on a first-come, first-served basis. The program pays childcare services €40 per week for an after-school place, or €80 per week in situations where the childcare service provides a pickup service that collects or brings a child to and from school. And the program also provides a full daycare rate of €105 per week for a maximum of 10 weeks to cater for school holiday periods. In all cases, the maximum fee payable by parents is €15 per child.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy.
Thanks, Minister. I suppose the reason I'm raising it is because there are a cohort of parents who are caught in a bit of an anomaly on this one, and they are the ones I referred to earlier, the people who suffered very badly due to the cuts to the lone parent payment. And there's a back-to-work family dividend, which has been gradually salamied and cut and cut and cut once they're gone back to work. And would you be aware that in June of this year, 8,100 lone parents lost $14.90 per week per child because of that back-to-work family dividend being cut? So just in the last 3 weeks, you're looking at 8,100 lone parents who have lost that money, and coincidentally, many of them would have exhausted their 52 weeks after-school childcare scheme just as the summer holidays kicked in and the schools closed. So there's hardship upon hardship on quite a significant cohort of lone parents. Will you comment, please?
Thank you, Deputy.
Okay, thank you, Deputy. I would have to say that I was not aware of those exact statistics. I am distressed to hear that. Two aspects, I think, of what you're identifying there. In terms of for lone parents, I think I would be very committed to and looking for ways to ensure that as they move on to different ways of a provision of public support in terms of the context of their families, that they get back what they may have lost, in terms of some of the past cuts. And I think I've identified some of the ways to do that within the program for government. But in relation to the childcare places, that is a concern of mine. And one of the aspects that I think the way that we need to move forward with that in terms of correcting that is to look across the board, particularly in terms of after-school places. Where are they? Are they in the appropriate locations? Are they available to, particularly for women and men who are single parents, have specific needs in relation to their children, and in terms of their different types of working arrangements? And I think in the past, this is why some of the schemes have not supported them particularly. I'm aware of that. There is a after-school cross-departmental group that has been established, and I will certainly promise to bring those concerns that you've identified to the work of that group.
Deputy Smith.
Just a general comment. I mean, I appreciate you coming in here and asking or answering very comprehensively and at length all the various varieties of sometimes the same question asked in different ways about childcare and supports, etc. But it really isn't stepping up to the plate in terms of a government, because you're just one minister, but there are several other ministers who should be involved in this, like social protection, like finance, etc., education. So there has to be a much more holistic approach to childcare than just Minister Sapone answering the questions that where the money is divvied out. So one of the groups who lobbied us during the election campaign, one of the groups I was most impressed with in terms of their presentation and their ambition was a group called Start Strong. And Start Strong are big advocates of early child education and make the obvious point, but make it very well, that the more you invest in children, the younger they are, the bigger the return at the, as they go through life, so the less chance of them falling into addiction or into prison or any of the other things. And they reckon $1 billion is required to be spent of our budget to get this right. Now, somebody, I think it might have been yourself or Deputy Coppinger, quoted 300 and something million earlier on. A third of what is required to get this right in this small little country is being spent. So maybe we could have a chat with other ministers about the need to really address this, that it's not just your problem.
Thank you, Minister.
Deputy Smith, I would welcome your presentation of cost-benefit analyses and quality childcare and the importance of prevention and early intervention, especially across the board to the other ministers. I am obviously trying to bring that voice to them as well. But absolutely, I am in complete agreement, really, with what you're saying there. It is across the board. We need to ensure that those who govern the nation can see. I think I think they understand the development of the arguments of the importance of prevention and early intervention in terms of saving money later. But if one accepts that and understands that, that means that you actually have to invest during that period earlier. So I accept what you're saying there, and I welcome your comments.